YN's POV. If someone had told me a few months ago that I'd end up as Jungkook's girlfriend, I would have laughed in their face. The underground fight club wasn't exactly the place you went to find romance. And yet, here I was, wrapped up in something bigger than I ever imagined. It all started with that stupid bet. I had just been messing around, teasing him, trying to get a reaction out of the too mysterious fighter who had ignored me for half the night. I had no idea that the moment I dared him to win would change everything. But then, he did win, effortlessly. And when he came back for his reward, that's when I knew I was in trouble. Jungkook wasn't just a fighter. He was a storm. Unpredictable, intense, impossible to ignore. One second he was pushing me away, acting like I was just an amusing distraction. The next he was pulling me closer, staring at me like I was something worth keeping. Somewhere between stolen glances, smirks that made my stomach flip, and his hands brushing against mine when he thought I wasn't looking, we fell into something neither of us expected. Jungkook didn't do soft. He didn't do relationships. Or at least, that's what he told me. But when he kissed me for the first time, really kissed me, with hands gripping my waist like he was scared I'd slip away, I knew he was lying. Because whatever this was between us, it was real. And now, months later, here I was, Jungkook's girlfriend, standing in a private training gym, trying to prove that I wasn't just some delicate thing that needed protecting. Tonight, I was going to surprise him. Author's POV. YN wiped the sweat off her forehead, trying her best to stay focused as Jungkook circled around her like a predator toying with his prey. His smirk was infuriating, cocky, knowing, and completely amused by her attempts to keep up. "Come on, baby," Jungkook teased, arms crossed over his chest. "Show me what you've got. Try to land a punch." YN rolled her eyes but couldn't fight back the grin that tugged at her lips. She had been training for weeks now, yet Jungkook still treated her like she was made of glass. He'd never go full force, always dodging her attacks with ease, always ruffling her hair like she was some adorable little puppy, rather than a fighter in the making. But tonight was different. She had a plan. "All right, Mr. Champion," YN said sweetly, adjusting the wraps around her hands. "But don't get mad when I embarrass you in your own gym." Jungkook let out a low chuckle, stepping forward, his hands up in a defensive stance. "Oh, is that right?" His voice was laced with amusement, but there was something else in his eyes, something dark and hungry. "If you manage to even graze me, I might just have to reward you." YN raised an eyebrow. "And what exactly does that mean?" Jungkook tilted his head, pretending to think. Maybe a kiss. Maybe more." He smirked, stepping closer, until she could feel the heat radiating off his body. "Motivation, yeah?" YN swallowed. He was unfair. So unfair. That two could play this game. "Deal," she said, shaking out her hands, pretending to be nervous. Jungkook's smirk widened. He let her throw a few slow punches, dodging them easily, moving with the grace of someone who had spent years perfecting his craft. "Too slow," he taunted. "You sure you're not just doing this for an excuse to get close to me?" YN huffed, pretending to pout. "You're so annoying. And you love it." She did. But she wasn't about to admit it. Instead, she kept him distracted, playful banter, light jabs, exaggerated sighs of frustration. Jungkook, ever the show-off, even yawned at one point, just to mess with her. That was when she struck. Instead, she kept him distracted, playful banter, light jabs, exaggerated sighs of frustration. Jungkook, ever the show-off, even yawned at one point just to mess with her. That was when she struck. In a blink, YN dropped low, sweeping Jungkook's legs out from under him with a perfectly executed kick. Before he could react, she was on him, pinning him down, straddling his waist, pressing her forearm against his throat just enough to make a point. Jungkook froze. YN smirked down at him, her breath steady while his eyes widened in shock. "Gotcha," she whispered, leaning in close. Jungkook blinked. "What the hell?" "Surprise." She grinned, finally releasing him, and rolled off, standing up triumphantly. "You thought I was still your clumsy little YN, huh? Guess all those secret training sessions I took with Mia paid off." Jungkook sat up, running a hand through his messy hair, still processing. Then, slowly, a new look took over his face, something dark, intrigued, and completely irresistible. "You played me," he muttered, standing up and closing the distance between them in one smooth step. YN backed up until her back hit the ropes. Jungkook's hands landed on either side of her, caging her in. His breath was warm against her lips as he studied her, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "You really thought you could pull one over on me?" YN bit her lip, trying not to laugh. "Looks like I did." Jungkook exhaled a low chuckle, shaking his head. "You're in so much trouble." Before she could respond, he dipped his head, pressing a slow, lingering kiss to her lips, effectively wiping away every thought in her head. His hands gripped her waist, pulling her closer until there was no space between them. When he finally pulled back, his lips brushed against her ear as he murmured, "Rematch, now." YN laughed, wrapping her arms around his neck. "What do I get if I win again?" Jungkook's smirk returned, this time full of promise. "Guess we'll just have to find out, won't we?" And with that, the game began again. Wine's pov. I adjusted the wraps around my hands, my heart pounding as I watched Jungkook smirk at me from across the gym. "All right, baby," he teased, cracking his knuckles. "You got lucky last time. Let's see if you can do it again." I narrowed my eyes, pretending to look unsure. He still thought I was just playing around, still didn't know that I'd been training in secret with Mia. He'd spent months teaching me, sure, but he never let me go all out. He never let me really fight. But tonight, I was going to show him exactly what I had learned. "Go easy on me," I said sweetly, stepping into position. Jungkook chuckled, shaking his head. "Not a chance." I let him throw the first few playful jabs, dodging them just enough to keep up the act. He was relaxed, cocky, waiting for me to trip over my own feet like I always did. And then, in one swift movement, I ducked, spun, and swept his legs out from under him. The shock in his eyes as he hit the mat was priceless. Before he could recover, I straddled him, pinning his arms down with my hands, a triumphant grin spreading across my face. "Gotcha," I whispered. Jungkook blinked up at me, completely still. I could practically see his brain short-circuiting. "How the hell?" "Surprised too," I said, laughing breathlessly. "Guess I've been holding out on you." Jungkook let out a low, disbelieving chuckle, shaking his head. "You played me." I leaned in slightly, just to tease him, my lips hovering over his. "Aren't you proud?" Jungkook's hands gripped my hips suddenly, flipping us over so fast that I barely had time to gasp. Now, I was the one trapped beneath him, his weight pressing me into the mat. His dark eyes locked onto mine, something dangerous flickering in them. "Oh, I'm so proud," he murmured. "But you lied to me," Jungkook accused, his voice low as he pressed me against floor. I grinned, breathless from our match. "I just didn't tell you everything." His hands slid down to my waist, pulling me flush against him. And here I was, thinking you were just my cute, clumsy girlfriend. I tilted my head, tracing a finger along his jaw. "Still think I'm clumsy?" Jungkook exhaled a laugh, but there was something heated in his gaze. "No. I think you're dangerous." I smirked. "That makes two of us." His lips crashed into mine before I could say anything else, stealing the last of my breath. This kiss wasn't soft, it was fierce, hungry, full of something unspoken between us. His hands roamed my body, gripping, pulling, claiming. When he finally pulled away, he pressed his forehead against mine, still breathing hard. "You really surprised me tonight," he admitted. I smirked. "Does that mean I win?" Jungkook's fingers curled around my chin, tilting my face up. "It means I owe you a reward." His hands slid lower, gripping the back of my thighs as he lifted me effortlessly, pressing me against the wall. My breath hitched as his lips trailed down my jaw, his voice thick with amusement. "You want to play dirty?" he murmured, his teeth grazing my neck. "Fine. Let's see how long you last." A shiver ran down my spine as I realized this round wasn't going to end in the gym.